Hey everybody, so out here in the greenhouse, which is still not done, but we're moving we've moved along quite a bit from the video I did about a week and a half ago. I think at that point I had like 16 windows left to do or whatever, and now I am down to 4. I've got one side window left to do, the back window, and then 2 front windows. Although the 2 front windows aren't as necessary to finish right away because currently I have them covered in plastic because I didn't cut out the plastic when I was putting it up to make room for the windows, which was probably a dumb idea because I've found when I did the plastic on the back that pre-cutting everything to fit around as I went along instead of trying to cut it after the fact worked out much easier. So if you're having to cut corrugated plastic that you're putting up on your greenhouse to cut around things, figure out your cuts before and then attach it, because once you get it up there and try to cut, it's a real pain. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick update on some of our spring plans. We have got all kinds of things going on here besides finishing the greenhouse. We've had a whole bunch of tree work done all last week. We had the tree company that actually I got the free wood chips from that I mentioned on the previous video, but the free wood chips. We had them come down and they took out, I think, like 10 trees for us. We had a couple of dead spruces that had to come out. One was in the corner of the garden, one was on the side of the garden. We had a great big maple, and I'm going to show you that area here in a minute. That was huge, but part of it was dead. So we decided to take that big maple out that was in the back corner of the garden, or back corner of the property. And that area was always kind of overgrown. Like, we had bought this house from my dad, and that corner had all kinds of junk that he left here, pieces of concrete and poles and all kinds of stuff. So we got that cleaned up, got all the brambles cut out. Tree guys came out, cut that thing down. And then they took out a bunch of other trees for us as well, as we're making room for things. So the chicken coop is going to go where the maple tree used to be, and hopefully it's getting kind of windy out here. So we'll see how this video comes out with the wind. I'm hoping my mic doesn't pick it up too much. It rained all morning. Got a break in the rain right now, which is why I decided to come out and do a little bit of video, but we got some thunderstorms rolling in with, and then it's supposed to get really windy tonight. So anyway, let's show you some stuff that's going on. Okay, so this area here that you're seeing is kind of ratty right now, but this is where the front garden fence used to run, all along here. And I spent the last day or so taking out the whole thing. Because tomorrow morning we've got electricians coming out that are going to be running a trench from the house down to the deck that I built here behind the camera, the deck that I built last year. They're going to put a few sockets in the deck for us, just so that we can plug in, our phones and that kind of thing, as well as run a whole new water pipe to the garden with garden hose. A new water pipe underground so we can put in a new garden faucet since the old one cracked. And the wiring will run in the same trench as the water pipe. And so we'll put like water pipe down. I've got to go get rock dust tomorrow, a truckload of that, and then top it off with the rock dust, and then they'll run the conduit down over top of the rock dust. So that will run first to the deck, and then it will come over here to the greenhouse. The whole greenhouse will get wired up. But because they had a trench all the way through here, I had to get this garden fence out of their way. So we no longer have a front garden fence. I took out about 45 feet or so of garden fence, as well as the next area. Okay, so this whole area behind me used to be the chicken side yard. For those of you who have followed us on Facebook, and because I don't remember, well, I did do a video about the dog attack last year with a husky that came in when we just had some of that plastic construction fence up for our chickens to go under the bushes and stuff. Neighbor's husky got out, came over and had attacked our chickens. So we built spent a whole day putting in this whole side yard outside of their main run, so they could come out and get just an additional area with grass and bushes and stuff. But the trench is going to be running through here up to the garage, where the garage will be then wired with 220, so that Mitzi can hook up the kiln that I bought her like 3 years ago that's just been sitting in there. They're going to put a whole vent in the wall and wire it with 220, so that we can finally get that vent running so that she can start doing her pottery in the kiln. So I had to get all this fencing out of the way so that they can run the trench through here. So the whole chicken run that I built 2 years ago, the whole thing is coming down. I'm going to be taking it all apart and moving the chicken coop to the area where the maple tree used to be. Right here is a lot of what's left of the maple, along with some of the split rail fence that I took down that you see there. The tree company was kind enough to actually pile it all up here on this concrete pad, which eventually will become basically a woodshed is what I'm planning on building and putting in here. So I'll have to get to chopping this all up with the chain, or cutting it up with a chainsaw and then splitting all the wood at some point, but that will be later on this season because I'm not going to have time to get through this big pile. But this should give us some good amount of firewood for the next year. I'm thinking we could probably get a cord of wood out of this by the time it's all said and done, maybe more. So this is the area where the maple tree was. I think you can see back here the big stump. They're going to be coming this week to grind the stump out for us. But this was the area that was super overgrown, full of junk, and then the big half-dead maple tree. There was also some wild cherry back here in the corner that it was actually 3 separate trees that kind of grew out of the same base. And the one part of it had already fallen down, and other parts of it was quite a bit of a mess and kind of dying off. So with the cherry tree down there in the back, one of the trees that were coming out, one was leaning way over, and the guys made some really precise cuts and then used some ropes and pulleys and pulled that whole tree back over so that it would fall into our yard and not fall into the neighbor's yard where their cow fence is. So that was pretty great that they did all that. So my next project now, once they come out here and grind out the stumps, is I'm going to have some topsoil delivered, and then with a bobcat I'm going to level this section out so that the chicken coop will be setting right here, and then I'll be building a run that goes down around this whole area that's kind of down behind me, and will go down probably like 25 feet or so. So their run will be close to about the same size as the one that they have now, so they'll have the same amount of room. But there's also a lilac bush down there that you can kind of see right over there, and that will be included in the coop. I just gotta, or not in the coop, but in the run, I just gotta trim it back so it's not so tall, but that'll give them kind of like a bush to go under during the summer and stuff. So I think that'll be pretty fun for them. When we had them out here in the side yard with the what is this here? Not a mimosa. Anyway, with the side, with whatever this tree bush thing is that we have over here that gets all the pretty pink flowers on it, that was included in their side yard before, and they loved being underneath of that thing. And so I wanted to include the lilac bush in with their new run. So I've got to get all this built. The tree guys also came out here and cut out, this is the area behind the garden, but it was super overgrown with a ton of mulberry trees that had sprung up underneath of all the pine trees. I still have a little bit of trimming up to do back here, but they took out all of those mulberry overgrowth that was actually leaning over the back garden fence, and just had created a big mess back here. And so they took all that out for us as well, which is awesome, because now I can just come back here basically with my weed whacker, trim it up a little bit and get it cleaned up back here, so we'll have a nice walking space behind the garden. So in addition to what I was talking about here in the back of the garden with the walking space, our other plan is to put a privacy fence around the whole backyard. One, so that we don't have to worry about the husky or any other neighborhood dogs getting into our yard to harass our chickens, but it will also provide some more privacy for any other prying animal eyes, because we do have fox and coyote and other stuff that we hear at night that are out here in the wilds of Western Maryland. And so if we close that off, I just feel more comfortable with it. And then with getting the whole backyard enclosed, we don't have to keep the dogs, our two little dogs, on leashes anymore. We can just let them out the back door. They can come out and have full run of the backyard, instead of just the small garden area that we used to have for them before. So I think that would be kind of fun for them to be able to have full run. And you know, when we're working on different things throughout the backyard, they can be out there with us all the time instead of only little specified areas. So that'll be cool. Okay, and so then the chicken run here behind me, this is all going to be coming down and rebuilt in the other area, and then this will all be new garden beds. As I had mentioned on a previous video, I said I was going to do a no-till version out here. But because of our slope, I started looking at it some more. My concern was when I started putting compost down without any support around it, we get some heavy spring rains, that the compost would just wash away. So I'm going to be building more beds, and hopefully I can get this all done in time to plant by Mother's Day. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so I came back in the greenhouse. It was getting pretty windy out there, and I think the storm's coming in, and I'm also running out of space on my SD card, so that's why I'm kind of like speeding through this. But a lot of things going on, you know, tree work, electricians, greenhouse getting done, tearing down the chicken run, building a new chicken run, privacy fence. We're also building a deck on the back of the house, and then we'll go from there. So we'll see what happens and how much we can get done over the next 6 weeks. I'm going to try to document as much of this as possible so you guys can keep up with all of our going on, as well as starting the new garden. So there you have it. That's what's happening at One Seed, One World. I hope everything is going fantastic in your neck of the woods, on your homesteads, in your gardens, whatever it is that you're doing. I hope it's going great for you, and I hope that you are having a fantastic day. Please subscribe to our channel. Hope to see you soon. Namaste.